Okay, we are live recording. So a couple things just in terms of the protocol of the webinar, so we make this as valuable and useful for everybody as possible. One is when you're not talking, mute your phones, please. I've gone ahead and muted everybody that I can hear centrally within WebEx, a platform we're using to deliver this webinar, record it and whatnot. So there'll be plenty of time for questions. So second thing is if you have questions, I would encourage folks to use the feature in WebEx to post those. And I'll manage those and get to those as they come in. If you're calling in and not using your computer to connect with the webinar, then there'll be time to ask those questions. If technical problems, you can try to email. You can email me. Unfortunately, I really won't be able to get to those. So, for all intents and purposes, if you're having technical problems, not a lot I can do kind of during the webinar, only because I'm going to be managing it by myself this morning. So, but yeah, it's a very stable platform, and looks like it's working fine, as in by the 20+ folks that have joined us. So, in terms of the webinar series, some of you have names I recognize, and some of you have joined past webinars. For those that this is your first webinar, last Friday of each month, they're 1 hour long. We start right at 11 Eastern Time. We're going to stop right at noon. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. And I also selfishly have to stop anyways at noon. I want to go to my son's Halloween parade day at his elementary school. Great topics. They're recorded and archived on the National CyberWatch Center YouTube channel. I do want to jump over and to show you on the National CyberWatch Center website, nationalcyberwatch.org, and under the a couple places, you can either go to Programs and Resources or on the Events page itself. I'll go through Events, and the Events link or Programs and Resources, you can see the upcoming webinars as well as other events we have going on. If you like to use an RSS of some sort, I would encourage you to make this one of your feeds and have this content come to you. You can see, for example, today's webinar. You'll see November is all about the Department of Homeland Security Stop, Think, Connect program, which is a tremendous program that DHS has been running for a number of years. And the whole focus of that program is really awareness, information security awareness. And they've got some really great resources, lots of help available to get you to think about implementing awareness campaigns, either in your communities, at your school, within your classes. So I highly encourage you you sign up for that webinar. That'll be the last Friday in November, and we're going to have representatives from Department of Homeland Security there doing the webinar. I'll be moderating that. So. Give me 1 second. There we go. So check that out. Events page. That's where you can go to see what webinars we have coming up. I also just want to show you, get the latest cybersecurity news and updates at the bottom of any of the National CyberWatch Center website pages. You sign up, and we don't send out a lot of information. There's a monthly e-newsletter, very short. It highlights a school, a member institution of CyberWatch program. It highlights faculty, students, and then of course events that are coming up and whatnot. There's also a great way to get announcements about money we have available for travel, for example. We have some money available for folks that were interested in going to the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, or NICE, conference next week in San Diego. So sign up on our website to get those kinds of updates. So now back to the the regularly scheduled program. And I'll show you at the end of the webinar where you can go to find past record and archived webinar series, the presentation slides. So these will be made available, and I'll show you where those will go at the end of today's webinar. So let's do some quick management here. All right. So content is king, really the focus of today. So I want to start and just kind of set the stage. So some of you we've been working with for 10 years. Some of you we've been working with, maybe this is the first time you've participated in any of our events. So I wanted to just give a little background why National CyberWatch is creating information security degrees and certificates and technical courses. So the main reason is we started as and continue to be funded primarily by the National Science Foundation. And when we started in 2005, there was very little in the way of information security curricula. So Northern Virginia Community College had developed an information systems security degree program in 1999, and there were a couple other schools that had some certificate programs. Anne Arundel Community College in Maryland. Anne Arundel County is the headquarters of the National Security Agency. Developed a Applied Associate of Science, an A.A.S. degree that they called Information Assurance in 2006. And that went through their internal curriculum instruction committee and also got Maryland Higher Education Commission approval. And so became, and Anne Arundel Community College was an original partner of CyberWatch. And CyberWatch's whole mission really has been about increasing the quantity and quality of the information security workforce. And we focused on it by developing curricula, outreach programs, did a lot with competitions, K-12, articulation agreements, and we were really focused on that mission in Northern Virginia, Baltimore, D.C., or the greater metropolitan D.C. area. And that Anne Arundel degree program became the CyberWatch model degree program. And so, for all intents and purposes, why us? Because we were uniquely positioned, I think, to go create degree and certificates. And we've continued that since really 2005. And in the curriculum I'm going to talk about today, specifically the degrees and the certificates, a little bit about the technical courses. I want you to understand some of the design considerations that went into this new and updated set of degrees and certificates. Right? I think it's really important that people understand, okay, why us, and then, well, all right, what are some of the things that you had to consider or did consider when creating this. I'll also say that we've had a national curriculum team in place for the past 3 years. Dr. Margaret Leary from Northern Virginia, Community College has been the chair of that committee, and it has representatives from both 2- and 4-year schools, about anywhere between 10 and 15 working members, and they've helped with a lot of this effort. And I'm gonna specifically call them out at different points in this webinar, just so you can see their role, right? So what are some of the design considerations? So some of the design considerations are based on having developed degrees and certificates in technical course for almost a decade, right? And some of the challenges in that are it's very difficult to keep content up to date. Right, there may be incredible processes for creating content and doing a QA around that, but how do you keep it current, right? How do you update it? So we wanted to come up with a solution to keeping the content up to date. Can folks still hear me? I'm seeing a couple. I'm seeing 2 people seem to be having problems. Everybody else seems to be fine. So, okay, good. So thank you. So in terms of, how do you keep content up to date? That's a design consideration. I'll talk a little bit about that when we get into the technical courses. Other design considerations focused on principles. Something I hear over and over and over again is cybersecurity is moving so fast and it's changing so fast. And I mean, to some degree, I think technology is just accelerating at insane speeds. But I don't know about cybersecurity per se. I mean, certainly there are classes of attacks and interesting and novel techniques, but in my experience, having taught information security now for, I guess, close to 12 years and having worked professionally for 20 plus years in large-scale IT and information security, a lot of the new attacks are really variations on a theme, and so to some degree, I think, I don't know if I really agree that cybersecurity is changing so fast that we can't keep up from an education or academic perspective. I think we can. I think there's, certainly in the East Coast, 40 plus years of learning experience, of core fundamentals, principles like process isolation, segmentation, least privilege. And these are concepts that go way, way back, early 80s in some cases. Process isolation goes back to the days of mainframes. So to some degree, I think it's really important that at least National CyberWatch Center, which is really focused on the role of community colleges in information security, education, and workforce development, that we help to try to drive and define some of these principles. And so this offering that I'm going to show you today is really focused on those principles. And fundamentally, it's really focused on kind of IT principles with security baked in. So operating systems, system administration, networking, programming, scripting, or kind of your core IT fundamentals, and then bake in the security principles into those. And so you're going to see that throughout. Performance-based, really, really a big piece, a buzzword. There's some really good examples. A shameless plug would be, for example, the National Cyber League, which has had performance-based assessments for a couple of years. Right? It's linking hands-on lab exercises available in virtual learning environments with assessments or challenges where students have to demonstrate that knowledge and skills. And we want to employ that same model, but as it relates to the classroom setting. The reality in my personal experience is that the competitions are a niche and perhaps will remain a niche, and they'll appeal to a certain type of student depending on the kind of competition, and they're really valuable and important, and I love them. But I think there's a lot of potential to build in assessments into learning management systems, into the content we're creating, so that students can continue to and faculty can continue to develop knowledge and skills and be able to validate and demonstrate that and use that information to perhaps improve areas that are not as strong in curricula, degree certificate offerings, or even the students themselves. It's modular, right? It needs to be modular. One thing that worked very well with the CyberWatch model degree program early on was that we simply said, here's a template. Here's a way for you to teach a degree program in information security and offer in 2 years. And here's a certificate. And here's the order. Here are the prerequisites. But you pick and choose what you want. And that worked really well because schools, like as I mentioned, did not have information security curricula. And so this allowed a number of schools to ramp up very quickly and get programs in place, but it also allowed some flexibility, right? It allowed schools, when at Rundle, there was, a focus early on around forensics. And so, 75% of this model degree program was similar to where I was at the Community College of Baltimore County, but 25% was really focused at Rundle Community College around forensics, and 25% at the Community College of Baltimore County was really more kind of network security. And so, right, the idea that these are templates. right? And you can pick and choose the elements you want that fit your specific needs based on what your local advisory council is telling you they want from students, based on what the high schools are doing in your area, based on what the four-year schools are doing in your area. So it's modular, right? You can pick and choose the elements you want. It's assigned to work roles. So some of you that are currently signed up for National CyberWatch Center announcements and whatnot, we'll see later today, and you may have seen it if you follow us on Twitter and Facebook, or you've seen any of the media releases. We basically announced yesterday in time for the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education Conference next week in San Diego that we have aligned the technical courses in these degrees and certificates to the various job or work roles within the National Cybersecurity Workforce Framework. And if you're not familiar with that framework, folks refer to it as the NICE framework. It's a national initiative. Although it's led by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, it really does have strong academic and industry partnership. And the whole purpose of the framework is to start to define job roles with requisite knowledge, skills, and abilities in information security. And specifically for the federal space, but hang a second. Okay, sorry about folks. There we go, folks. There, I have some people that don't understand their phones. There we go. Sorry about that. So one of the challenges is, imagine you're doing some academic advisement, or you're talking to friends of yours or parents or neighbors, and you say, boy, oh boy, there's a huge demand for information security people, huge demand. Where would you go, where would you point them to so they could get more information about kinds of jobs in information security? And there really aren't that many resources. Yesterday, Life Journey is a company out of Baltimore, launched the NSA Day of Cyber. National CyberWatch Center and Prince George's Community College are partners. And the whole point of the Life Journey product is to really visually show the journeys that people have taken to become specific STEM workers. So, and cyber, and the whole NSA Day of Cyber, you can go, I think it's nsadayofcyber.com, highlights 6 different jobs of information security people at the NSA. And that's a start. And we need to continue to expand that and grow that and build that out so people can see, all right, these are the kinds of jobs in information security. And if I wanted to be a network forensics analyst, how would I go about doing that? What training is available? What academic programs are there? Are there professional certifications? Are there informal things I need to be doing, associations I need to belong to? And these work roles are a start of defining really this burgeoning information security workforce. And we've aligned our degrees we aligned our degrees and certificates, specifically the technical courses in them, to these work roles that are defined in the National Cybersecurity Workforce Framework. And I'm going to jump over, if you Google NICE framework, which is technically, it's not really the NICE framework, but that's what people know as. You'll see a link here. An interactive National Cybersecurity Workforce Framework is comprised of these 7 categories, the kinds, so, security provision, for example, right, is one of the categories in this framework. And then within that, right, within this, there are specialty areas. And these specialty areas are, in fact, their roles: systems development. I do system security architecture. I do test and evaluation, right? And then within each of those specialty areas, there are requisite knowledge, skills, and abilities. And so what we've in effect done has mapped our technical courses to those job roles. So if you are putting students through the technical courses that we have suggested be part of the various CyberWatch degrees and certificates, you know that they can get these kinds of jobs. That's really important, and I'll talk about that some more. We want this solution to be all digital. We realize that there are many efforts nationally that are requiring folks many states, in fact, are requiring schools to reduce the number of credits in the Applied Associate of Science degree programs, which is a troubling trend, in my opinion. In my experience, we need more. We need more credits, not less. But we've, of course, factored that into the design of the degrees and certificate programs, and we've mapped these not only to these national standards, but also some federal standards as well. So you'll hear me talk about the NSA, the National Security Agency, Department of Homeland Security, for Academic Excellence Program, and you'll hear me talk about knowledge units. And knowledge units are really the first attempt at trying to define what is the common body of knowledge for our discipline. The nice framework essays or knowledge, skills, and ability, they're separate, right? They're really trying to define what people need to know, what you need to know and be able to do in a job role. The Center for Academic Excellence knowledge units are really about, hey, these are core principles that need to be in your academic programs or in your training programs. And if you want to become a Center of Academic Excellence, as designated by the NSA and DHS, then your curricula has to comply with these standards. It's important that when we design degrees and certificates and technical courses that we factor both of those in, and so we've done that. We've aligned our content with industry certifications. I'm going to show you all of this. We've articulated with four-year schools. So let's get into the meat of it. So let's look at the degrees first. There are 5. So when I mentioned the CyberWatch Model Degree Program, that was the original Anne Arundel Information Assurance Associate of Science degree. It's gone several iterations, as you can imagine, over the past 9 years. It morphed into then from Information Assurance to Information Security. Then it got relabeled Information Systems Security. And now it's renamed Cyber Defense. So A.A.S, Cyber Defense. And if you go to the National CyberWatch Center website, again, that's national. Let me close down some of these tabs here. CyberWatch.org. You can click on the programs and sources link at the top of the page. This lists the kinds of programs that we make available and resources that we want to promote. The very first link is the National CyberWatch curricula, and you click on that, and you'll see 3 items that we're going to talk about today. So the first thing I've been talking about for the past 24 minutes is what does effective cybersecurity curriculum look like? And in effect, there's more information here about what I've just described. All right. And there's also then links for our degree programs, the certificates, and the technical courses. And I want to talk about the degree programs now, and specifically I'm going to start off talking about the cyber defense degree. So this is the longest degree we've had in place. If you've adopted the CyberWatch Model Degree Program between 2006 up through this June 2015, then you're teaching a variation of this theme. It's really and has always been a combination of network administration with systems administration and security baked in. So that means typically it's meant the Cisco Network and Academy courses. It's meant a couple server classes, usually a Windows Linux server class. It's meant a protocols class. It's got a Security Plus class in there, right? It's really just a modern version of what many community colleges are already teaching. See that you'll see basically the description that I just mentioned. You'll see the work roles in effect that we've mapped the technical courses in this degree program too, and many of these job roles are right out of the National Cybersecurity Workforce Framework, and many are not. Right? We've used other sources to figure out what kinds of jobs can our students get based on the technical courses, in this case, the cyber defense degree program. And part of that's based on industry input. We have a national advisory board. It's based on labor market demand research. It's based on individuals' experiences. One of the classes in the cyber defense degree program is an intrusion detection / prevention systems course. And that, coupled with some of the other courses in this degree program, means that somebody could go and job as an intrusion detection system technician. And I've had students go get those jobs. Typically are in network operations center or security operations center, so NOC, SOCs, if you will. And you can see in the cyber defense degree program along the left here, we say that students can sit for 5 industry certifications. And that was one of the things I mentioned. We've mapped to professional certifications. So in this case, the cyber defense degree program, students can, after they complete the technical courses, could for CompTIA Network Plus, Linux Plus, Security Plus, et cetera. And then you can see here how we've actually laid out the courses. So we laid it out by semester, starting in the fall of a year, not only what the gen ed requirements are, but the actual technical courses themselves. So this combination, again, of, in this case, cyber defense, network administration, system administration with security baked in. And in order, with prerequisites, the number of credits or units, and you can see it's capped at 60, so this one's 59 total credits. And you could click on any one of these links then to drill down and get more information. So information security fundamentals is basically the Security Plus class. So, what is that course about? So these are really your common course outlines, if you will, right? These are documents you could use to actually take to get approval through your internal curriculum instruction committee to either update or to get this new course implemented at your institution. It's got learning objectives and the main topics and some lab exercises, and along the left of each of these pages, any prerequisites. These are all clickable recommendations for textbooks. Right? That's the cyber defense degree program in a nutshell. And did I miss anything? Down below are just the technical courses and the actual technical course to professional certification mapping. Hang a second, we got somebody here. Can you please mute yourself?
Well, I did it full.
What's interesting when you run these webinars is you see how many people are actually multitasking. They're actually like having other conversations. They forget to mute their phones. How many of you are actually multitasking right now? It's a very good question. So you can see here you can see the professional certifications that the courses map to. So, if we say we've mapped the cyber defense degree program to the Linux Plus powered by Linux Professional Institute certification, well, which specific course or set of courses, right? And so you can get that information on the cyber defense page here, the degree link. So let me get the actual size. So that's the A.A.S. in cyber defense. Network forensics. This is a new degree for us. All right, network forensics. Let me go back to degree programs on the CyberWatch website, and pop network forensics. All right, and network forensics, I would argue, is the technically rigorous degree and certificate program that we are rolling out. This is brand new, and it's a combination of hardware, OSs, digital forensics, networking, incident response / network intrusion. So it includes the kind of courses like certainly need to be very strong in protocol analysis and certainly types of attacks, working very, very, very strong. You need to be strong in trace file or packet capture analysis. So you need to be really strong in hardware. You know, you need to understand space and kind of what, you know, folks used to call shop forensics, right? Kind of black box or computer forensics techniques, crypto, hashing, digital forensics concepts, chain of custody, right? So there's this is a new degree program, and you can see it's again an associate of applied science. It's 60 credit hours. There are 4 professional certifications that we've mapped to. You can see the types of jobs that students can get as a result of completing this degree. Again, some of those are mapped directly to the NICE framework. Some are other job roles that are not defined in the NICE framework. You can see again the course offerings. So how would you deliver this in 2 years if you were wanting to do that? You can click any of the classes in the technical classes in this degree program, and again a mapping of the certifications that students can sit for as a result of completing these classes. And so that's the network forensics program. And that's a shift for us. Early on, not only did CyberWatch model degree program include really I would call kind of a network security or information security / information assurance degree program, there also was a model degree program for forensics. And it was primarily computer forensics, right? It was primarily really kind of hard drive imaging, chain of custody, right? The kinds of forensics work that's typically reserved for law enforcement. And the reality over the past 9 years is that you know, most of those jobs required a bachelor's degree. Whether students actually needed that degree or not is a separate issue unto itself. But nonetheless, right, it was really, those jobs are pretty limited in that, you know, there aren't really a lot of police stations that have forensics capability. Certainly many states, Maryland, for example, the state police have a forensics task force. Baltimore City, I worked with Baltimore City Police Department at the turn of the century here, and there was they had a strong computer forensics program. But you know, outside of law enforcement, those jobs are few and far between. And the reality is that there's much more interest now in the incident response side, and there's way more jobs available for folks to do incident response. And so specifically, given the kinds of courses that community colleges have been teaching, both IT and security, and kinds of jobs our students can get in NOCs and SOCs and whatnot, network forensics was a natural kind of extension of what originally was a computer forensics degree and certificate. And there's certainly elements of the computer forensics courses and concepts in this network forensics program. So second degree. The third is network security administration, and this is also a new one. And again, here the logic is the one-size-fits-all cyber defense may not work for everybody. And I say that based on, you know, there may be specific advice that you're getting from your local advisory councils or industry in your area. Or you may have experience that your students can, you know, they can get jobs doing network administration. They can get jobs doing system administration. That's certainly been my experience, and it certainly, I think the data backs that up nationally, labor market demand data and Department of Labor data. And so, right, and so in trying to offer a range of degree and certificate programs, we took all that into account, and here's a really good example. So our students can get network administration jobs, and having security baked into a network degree program really gives them a leg up in the industry. It's a real value add when they go to apply for jobs. And so this is a new degree program of June, as all of these new degree programs that I'm talking about. So network forensics, network security administration, system security administration, and secure software development. all new as of June. And this, again, is really it's a network administration, so fundamentally it's really kind of Cisco Networking Academy. It's protocols, which is, I think, really, really important. I don't really see deep dive into the TCP/IP protocols in any of the current, for example, Cisco Networking Academy, Security Plus. They do a couple server classes, and they do intrusion detection / prevention systems and network security class. This is VPNs, firewalls, layer 2, layer 3. Hardening techniques. There's an ethical hacking systems defense. They do some network forensics, incident response. Very, very good program. Starting to see a number of jobs define network security administration. So you can see the job roles we've mapped to. You can see the professional certs we've mapped to. You can see the courses and how they map to the certs. So this is a new degree offering 60 credits. The fourth is, let me go to previous, I'm going to go to the System Security Administration and just talk about all the applied Associate of Science or A.A.S. degrees first, and then I'll talk about our Associate of Science degree last. So the last A.A.S. degree and also new degree that we are offering for folks to, again, implement at their schools is System Security Administration, right? So cyber defense, remember, cyber defense is really network security administration plus system security administration. But the reality is given that most degrees have to be capped, most A.A.S. degrees have to be capped at 60 credits / units, it's really tough to go deep into network security administration or go deep into system security administration when you combine both of those together, which is really what the cyber defense degree is all about. And so we stripped out the system security administration stuff from the cyber defense, and you have an entire degree program that's really a combination of system administration with security principles baked in. You see, again, this is capped at 60 credit unit hours. There's 4 professional certs that students can get. You can see the kinds of jobs students can sit for. And then, again, you can see the course sequence. This degree is all sysadmin. So they take 2 Linux server classes. They take 3 Windows. Then the capstone is really what we're calling Secure Server Services class. But fundamentally, I'm at the wrong degree here. Let me go to System Security Administration, sorry. It's fundamentally a server services hardening class. So think about it. I mean, where are you teaching in your degree programs how to set up web servers, FTP servers, SH, HTTPS, any of your file transfer, web, secure file transfer services? Where do students get that? Where do they set up databases? Where do they set up email servers? If you have clubs or teams competing in competitions, perhaps they do it there, but there's very little of that in the sysadmin type courses, right? They may set up Internet Information Services in a Windows class, but there's no real class that kind of concentrates that builds on sysadmin courses and says, look, here are the server services you're going to have to implement and do so securely. Right? And that's the capstone course in this degree program. So I misspoke. The System Security Administration degree is capped at 58 hours, and there are 5 professional certs. You can see the kinds of jobs that students can get: help desk, tech support, sysadmin jobs. You can see the technical courses here. I do want to point out that across the 4 A.A.S. degrees, there are 5 core courses that are in every A.A.S. degree, and that is National CyberWatch Center Course 200, so basically Networking 1, which is a Network Plus, or your equivalent of your first CENT or CCNA, the Cisco Certified Entry Network Technician, or the Cisco Certified Network Associate Professional Certs, right? That's that course. That's a core course in our A.A.S. degrees. So Networking 1. Linux 1, Our course number would be NCC 204. That is considered a core course, our degree and certificate programs, NCC 204. NCC 210, National CyberWatch Center 210, Information Security Fundamentals. That's really your Security Plus class. That is a core course in all the A.A.S. degree programs and certificates around those degrees. And I'm going to talk about the certs next. The fourth is a STEAM class. So, and it's an area I think, quite frankly, the community colleges really need to do a better job of, right? We've been so focused for decades on networking, operating systems, system administration, but program scripting is, in my opinion, has not been one of the strengths of the community colleges. And here's an opportunity for us to really give students those skills. They're really, really critical when you're talking about network security administration or system security administration. And for those interested in the Center for Academic Excellence designation, I mentioned that we've mapped these technical courses to both federal and national standards. So when you're talking about the CAE knowledge units, there are requirements that your curricula has to meet in order to get that designation. And scripting or programming fundamentals are considered really kind of core principles to the discipline. And so that's become a core course in our degree programs. I'm missing one. So we have networking 1, Linux 1, information security fundamentals, scripting fundamentals, and I believe the fifth is ethical hacking and systems defense, and that cuts across all. But for some reason, I feel like that's not right because it's not in the system security administration. I'm blanking out on the fifth. It'll come to me, so let me come back to that. But you see that pattern. You will see, if I can remember that fifth core class, you will see those 5 classes across all our degrees. And there was a question that came in that says, what language do you recommend for the programming / scripting? Well, scripting's different, so we're gonna settle on Python. But here's perhaps a different strategy to think about it. If you're going to if you want to focus on either the cyber defense or network security administration degrees and certificates, I would recommend Python as a first kind of scripting language. It has a lot of relevance in that domain. So, for example, if you're going to work in a NOC or a SOC and you're doing traffic analysis, or you're doing some log file analysis, you may have to pull out suspect IP addresses from a huge log file, and having some scripting skills makes that easier. If you're going to go down the system security administration route, which really sysadmin with security baked in, I would argue perhaps you want to focus on shell scripting, so in Bash or something like that, the born again shell. But that would be kind of a call you would have to make. We're going to recommend Python. If you want to replace, remember I said modular. These degrees and certificates are modular. So if you're like, you know what, I don't actually want to teach NCC 212, which is the scripting class. We want to do programming 1, then it's really, the answer to what language do you recommend will be whatever your programming 1 class is at your school. Chances are it's probably a Java class. So thanks for that question. So that's the System Security Administration degree. That's the 4th A.S. And I honestly feel like that the Network Security Administration and System Security Administration degrees are really, quite frankly, the way to go. I'm encouraging schools to consider those over the cyber defense for a couple reasons. One is, in the Network Security Administration and System Security degrees, you get a deeper dive into the concepts of those two really kind of specialties within information security. The fact that we have to cap degrees at 60 credit unit hours really limits the kinds of courses we can put in that cyber defense degree. If we had another year or even 2 years, boy, really, then we could load some of the other stuff that I think needs to be in these degrees, like virtualization, wireless, perhaps a programming class in addition to a scripting class. Perhaps some engineering courses, right? I mean, databases, right? You could really kind of build the knowledge and skill set of our students, but that 60 credit hour cap really limits how deep we can go, and so for that reason, and there really aren't a lot of entry level pure cyber jobs. That cyber defense degree is sexy, right? The name is sexy, but the reality is it'll be very difficult for our students to move into jobs. I mean, if one thing I want to encourage all of you to start asking when people talk about this demand, this huge demand for cybersecurity talent, is where are the jobs, right? See where the jobs are, right? And I'll give you an example. Facebook has 6 different security teams. They have 155 people dedicated to security. Microsoft has about 1,000 worldwide, right? But think about it. I mean, those aren't really huge numbers. If we took the top 10 largest software companies in the world, my guess is the numbers are about maybe somewhere above 12,000. It may be lower of pure cyber jobs. So that tells me that really, quite frankly, the jobs that are out there are really IT jobs, and as such, then are we doing our students a disservice by offering a cyber defense degree program for which there are relatively few, not only pure information security jobs, but even fewer entry level. So that's kind of a perhaps a radical thing to say, given that we've been so head down for the past 10 years on developing capacity for students to move into entry level technician security jobs. But the reality is just the marketplace is not that mature yet. And so that's why I'm really excited about the Network Security and System Security Administration degree programs. The last one is an A.A.S, an Associate of Science, Secure Software Development. And this program is really, this degree is brand new for us. It's something I've been wanting to do for a bunch of years. It's really a computer science degree with security baked in. And so it's designed as a transfer degree to four-year computer science engineering programs, and so it's very math heavy. It's your traditional kind of computer science. So that means typically 4 programming courses, usually Calc 2 or Calc 3 discrete math, science with the lab, right? It's more gen ed classes, fewer technical classes. In fact, this degree program only has 5 technical classes in it. But it's a great program for those 2-year schools that have strong computer science programs or want to move in that area. And it could be a model that could be adopted or adapted where you could actually say, we don't have a strong comp sci program, but we do have a strong IT programming focus. And perhaps we can pull out the courses here and do an A.A.S and IT programming. But this is our newest offering, and until 4-year schools. 4-year schools are teaching applied IT type courses or have applied IT programs. It's going to be very difficult for our students to articulate the credits from the A.A.S degrees in 4-year schools. It doesn't mean there aren't 4-year schools that have applied degree programs. Rochester Institute of Technology is a really good example. But let's face it, as you know, most of our students, especially in the community college space, they want to stay local, right? Many are not going to move. Right, so it's difficult for them to do much beyond the A.A.S, right? That's really a terminal degree. So how do we solve that problem? Well, one way is we try to incentivize those 4-year schools that want to build applied baccalaureate programs. 2 is you're starting to see community colleges in states like Ohio, Washington, Florida create applied baccalaureate degrees themselves. which I think is fantastic. And the third way in which we solve this problem is we, at tier level, need to develop A.A.S degrees that have a computer science really a foundation that allows students to move into the four-year schools that do have computer science and security programs. And so this is our latest offering. And that covers the degrees. The certificates then are really variation on the degree theme. So there is a cyber defense certificate, and that's on the National CyberWatch website as well, under programs and resources, again. And then the first link is National CyberWatch Curriculum, and under the degree link then is a certificates link, and you can get the same kind of information about our certificates that we have of degrees, and so you can drill down and see what are the courses in the cyber defense certificate. If I wanted to offer this, so certificate defined here is pull out all the technical courses from the cyber defense degree, remove the gen ed requirements, and make that available, right? Perhaps you market this towards continuing ed or students that want to get right into the workforce. All right, same information, the number of courses, the credit unit hours, the jobs that the technical courses in the certificate have been mapped to, the professional certs, how you would deliver it, et cetera, right? So we have a certificate for cyber defense. We have a certificate for network forensics. We have 3 network security administration certificates, so they build on each other, stack on top of each other. Same with network forensics. Network forensics, there is some recommendations on our website for network forensics certificate that says, hey, really students need to have the following courses or sets of courses under their belt before they tackle this. So, for example, saying for the network forensics certificate, you really need to do network security administration 1 certificate, then do system security administration 1 second, et cetera, right? The whole kind of stackable certificate model here. How do you stack them so students can continue to develop knowledge and skills and move up in hierarchy towards more advanced knowledge and skills, all along getting certificates from institutions, getting professional certifications, right? Getting the knowledge and skills they need. So network forensics, we've got 3. As I mentioned, 3 network security administration certificates, 1 secure software development cert, and 3 system security administration certs. And when you see 3, they're, it's 1, 2, and 3. And you can go to our website and see the order, how you might stack those, whatnot. So I think for sake of time, I'll just quickly talk about our technical courses. Where we're going with all of this then is, let me back up. One is, so we're here to help you get these degrees and certificates either implement at your institution or help you figure out which of these makes sense for you and or help you update your current degree and certificate. So that's just one takeaway, right? Action item is reach out to Casey. In the slides here, I've got my contact information, and we have people, we have experience. Our job is to really help you get degrees and certificates in place. That's really a number 1 priority. And beyond that, we're working on some solutions to deliver a course cartridge, right? A package solution for each of these technical courses in these 5 degrees and 9 certificates. And 25 technical courses across the 5 degrees and 9 certificates. I'm happy to talk to any of you about that offline. But really the focus today is just on those degrees and certificates, and a couple things here before I turn it over to questions, which is, what's in the works. So 1, continued mapping efforts. We continue to map the technical course topics and learning outcomes to the Center for Academic Excellence knowledge units, as well as the NICE framework knowledge, skills, and abilities. We've already mapped them to the job roles, but now we want to map them to the actual knowledge, skills, and abilities within those job roles. And that just makes it easier for those schools that want to that want to go to the industry and say, look, this content this curricula that we're implementing or updating is based on labor market demand research, national and federal standards, industry input. Give some external validation to what you're doing. We will then develop faculty professional development program around these technical courses, which is something we've always done. We haven't done a lot of faculty professional development the past 3 years, but we partner with the Center for System Security and Information Assurance, CASIA, at Moraine Valley Community College, and they deliver these courses, and that's coming. As are some other features. So there's some questions in the chat room I'm going to get to. So sometimes start thinking about your questions. So it says, how do you find qualified instructors to teach these classes? Ideally, you want someone that has field experience. Adjunct faculty pay is usually very low, and professionals in the field are probably in high demand and making close or over 6 figures. So there's low incentive for these professionals to teach classes. Absolutely true. Bill, huge problem in the entire academic space. Typically, adjuncts that teach this stuff are really passionate about teaching, right? And they're not doing it for the pay. I mean, the take-home's probably, I don't know, maybe $2,400 or something after taxes. So you're not doing this for the money. It is a challenge. The real challenge, quite frankly, is just the faculty having real-world experience, right? That kind of disconnect. I mean, we can deliver content and give train-the-trainer workshops and teach you how to teach this stuff, and you can teach it, but that lack of real-world experience, or how this theory or this technique or this concept is really used in the real world, that's the real challenge. There are some efforts to try to develop some national faculty programs, but it's a real big challenge. So thanks for your question. Chuck says, how does your credit hour translate to class contact hours? Also, can classes be taught and blended? So I don't know how to answer that question. Let me answer it the best way I know how to, Chuck, which is a 3 credit or unit hour class would, if you were teaching it in a 15-week semester format, for example, means the class would meet once a week for 15 weeks, 3 hours a class. If it was a per credit / unit hour class taught over a 15-week semester, then it would meet once a week for 15 weeks for 4 hours. And if you teach it in a 7-week format over, and you're on a semester system, for example, and it's a 3 credit / unit hour class, then you would meet twice a week for 3 hours per class. So that gives you a sense, Chuck, and you could kind of take that then and apply that to however your school figures out contact hours and whatnot. So there's another question here for you all. What is the average adjunct pay? Looking at responses. Here in Louisiana, it's only $1,950 before taxes. In Baltimore County, it's about $2,400. So it's very, very, very low. Are there any other questions? I'm going to do something here. I'm going to unmute everybody, which means you should
House, the student,
you should mute yourself. See, I already got people talking.
Must have gone out.
So I'm going to unmute people, and I only have a minute here. I can stay on for maybe another minute, but that's the official program. The next webinar is the 20th of November. It's all about the DHS Stop, Think, Connect program. I'm interested in suggestions for the kinds of topics you all want us to talk about, right? The DHS Stop, Think, Connect webinar in November 20th, will be the last of the 2015 CyberWatch webinar series. So we're looking for topics for 2016. And the best way to go about getting those topics to us is to, let me go back here, I apologize, is to send email O'Brien, O-B-R-I-E-N, at nationalcyberwatch.org. I thought I had that in here. I can't believe I don't have my contact information. I'll post that in the chat room. Send to O'Brien at nationalcyberwatch.org. Suggestions for the kinds of topics you want. I'd also would appreciate if folks wouldn't mind spending a few minutes. We've got a survey that we use for our funders that just asks about the webinar itself, and let me put that in the chat room too. So that's the official program. I'm sorry, talked a little longer than I wanted. Didn't get as much time for questions, but my email is in the chat room for those that are dialing in. It's National Cyber Cobrien, C-O-B-R-I-E-N, at nationalcyberwatch.org. That's the official program. Have a great Halloween and weekend. Thanks for joining us. Look for an email in your inbox that has information about today's recording, so a link to our YouTube channel and the webinar slides themselves. And take care. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.